सबके ब्रदर और सिस्टर बनाइदिएको चान्स खतम.
I want to thank our Almighty God for making this day possible. As our sir have just said, it's not just short. We waited for so long, but that's what the Word of God says. God has His own plan and His own day, and today is the day. To the fact that 13, which was my birthday, which is yesterday, we really want to do that. In fact, Nokho myself, we waited for 2 years to make that happen, but I think God has a different purpose for us. Secondly, I really want to thank our Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Tourism, Sir Temjin Mao, who is also a boss to me. It was almost 3-4 months back I have shared about this program, and I have to make sure that I keep reminding him because he's a very busy man. But I'm so thankful, sir, in spite of all your other activities and in spite of the very popular festival that has just ended and a lot of things to be done, I'm for sure, but yet you make your time, and being a part of our program this afternoon was a blessing and such an honor for myself and for Nokho as well. Thank you so much, sir. And our Sir Sandeep, he's supposed to fly today, but sir is a boss to me, he's a friend to me, he's a father to me. Whenever I need him, he's always there to guide me. And knowing the fact that he's been together ever since we come with this idea of putting into a written form, I think sir don't want to leave us just like that. So he even has cancelled his flight ticket and he postponed it to tomorrow. So that was a sacrifice and effort for us. We really meant it. Thank you so much. Few other people, I want to thank our Sir Barak. With few incidences, we become very good friends, and a lot of time we share.
Most respected Honorable Minister for Tourism and Higher Education, Government of Nagaland, my brother Temjin Long Kumar, Shri Bharat, DIG Range Kohima, Colonel Gill, my dear friend Dili Khekho, members of the family and extended family of Dili, and all the guests present here. It's indeed a privilege for me to get an opportunity of speaking about the book that has been written by my friend Nokho. I remember I was sharing this with Nokho. It was, I think, in 2018 when Dili had mentioned to me about his grandfather, the stories, and the passion in which he was mentioning all these things. I felt that he needed to bring it down in the form of a written document, a written book. And I must be candid enough in telling you that I haven't been able to go through the entire book, but yes, I've gone through some part of it, and it has been covered very professionally. Absolute wonderful work that you have done. My congratulations to you for that. As our Honorable Minister was mentioning, oral petitions are something which gets transferred from one generation to other through the ways of stories, folklores, through the ways of formal or informal teaching. And world over, be it the simple societies, the basic societies, and when I say simple and basic societies, I mean the smaller tribal societies which are still are not in the form of urban territories, the other developed when I say infrastructural development. To my understanding, all societies are developed in terms of human resource, in terms of intellect, in terms of passing on the traditions, in terms of passing of the customs, the rituals, and it becomes very important for generations to preserve this rich heritage, rich knowledge, rich cultures. Quite obviously, as our Honorable Minister had also said, most of, or rather none of the Naga tribe that I know is having a written script. And so it becomes very important for us to, how do we carry forward the legacy? How do we carry forward the traditional knowledge of thousands of years? And in last decade or so, I'm here for last 22 years, but last decade or so, I've seen many efforts by young authors, both authors belonging to the Naga communities or authors belonging to the non-Naga communities, trying to write down this oral traditions, oral history into a documentary form, so that this gets preserved, this gets protected, and it gets shifted to the next generations. I believe this effort, Khekho the Tiger, that you have written, Tiger Challenger, is a very noble initiative on the part of both Dili and Nokho. Though it appears, the small part that Nokho has read, though it appears that it's a form of continuation of the folk tales and the myths, it's not that. It's a book which is very nicely written in the form of the relationship between the individual, the family, the clan, the community, village, and the environment. The whole book is a narrative of how the culture and the village life exists about. Of course, the main protagonist, Dili Khekho, the story revolves around him. But the book also speaks about the traditional, the customs which are present in the village. She has mentioned about how Dili got the title, Khekho, Tiger Challenger. So I won't go into that. But book mentions about he also getting the title of Orakho, something like Spirit Challenger. And the book describes him as a man which was very physically brave, strong, but it's not the physical strength of the man. What I felt more important was the ability to take risk, the ability to think rationally, ability to courageous enough at times to take stand even going against the family, the village. Book mentions about Dili's grandfather to be one of the first Christian convert in your community, and for which he gets excommunicated from the village. Now, 100 years back, when Christianity was being welcomed in Nagaland, the land of the Nagas, may it in Mao community or our community or any other communities, it would have required a lot of courage, lot of passion, lot of self-belief to go and accept a new faith. Now, in that circumstance, someone tries to follow his passion, which needs a lot of internal courage, it needs a lot of dedication to the thing that you believe in. So, Mr. Khekho gets excommunicated, comes back to the village, and then he occupies a land which is believed to be, I won't use the word infested, believed to be covered by the spirits, right? That's what the title of Orakho. So that needs, a lot of internal strength and internal courage for an individual, passion. I believe Dili also has carried in some degree the same passion, the same ability to take risk, knowing him for last 8 years, is it? And knowing him that he was in academics initially and then left academics and came back and started his own passion of cafe here. This runs in the generations, this runs in your family. The fact that you came up with this idea of writing a book, it's not only about your grandfather, it's about preserving, protecting your traditional history, preserving your knowledge of your village, your tribe, and its relationship with the natural individual habitats. Book also mentions about the transition of one generation to the other generation, transition of one set of traditions to the modernism, if I may use the word modernism. The book mentions about how the headhunting practices was stopped, how his village goes ahead and makes a peace pact with Kohima, it goes ahead and makes peace pact with 38 different villages. So it's not only about the protagonist per se, it's also about the village, it's also about the traditions, it's also about the tribe, about leaving the earlier practices of headhunting and trying to walk slowly into the modernism. So book in short is of course about your family, your grandfather, but to me it's a wonderful book. Anybody who want to understand the sociological, anthropological aspects of how a community changes, community goes ahead, especially for someone like me who is not a Naga. So you see, somebody who is coming from a non-tribal background into lands of Nagaland or the tribal lands, we always have the fear of getting trapped into the ethnic relativism concept. We tend to view the things from our own understanding. We tend to view the things from our own knowledge. So there is this concept of cultural relativism and ethnic centrism. So this book is a very good example of trying to do a very objective job of trying to make understand how the things are. Like our Honorable Minister was mentioning about, if others hear about the folklore, the stories, the myths, they may not believe it. They may not believe it because they have never experienced the kind of familial customs and the tribal setup that they live in, we live in. So it's very important to understand that from the relativism concept, the anthropological concept. And I must congratulate you, Nokho. It was a difficult topic, but you have handled it very well. My congratulations to you. I hope that many other people would want to write the oral traditions, oral histories, documented in a form which can get, transferred from generation to generation. I wish and hope and pray for the best success of your book. And congratulations, Dili. I know this has been a long-standing dream for you, and you must be a very, very happy and satisfied man today. Thank you once again.
Honorable Minister of Higher Education and Tourism, Government of Nagaland, and my good old friend, Ina. I'm glad that it's you who will be launching this book. And ADGP, IPS, Sir Sandeep, we couldn't have had a better person to give a comment on the book. This book is precious to us, and we are thrilled to finally bring it to life and to be sharing this moment with people we hold close. I welcome each and every one of you to this book launch. I shall briefly take a short time to introduce Khekho The Tiger Challenger, what it really is about and how it all began. The idea for this book took birth on a pleasant autumn evening of 2019. I cannot recollect how it all began, but I vividly remember Dili sharing the story of his great-grandfather with great gusto, hypnotizing me into the extraordinary life of the legend he is named after. Being a great storyteller as he is, I began to visualize every scene of the forlorn era, one we didn't have the chance to experience. It was evident how much he looked up to the namesake he never met. In the end, he sighed with a deep melancholy and said, "I wish to have a small book written about my great-grandfather. I don't want his legacy to become a forgotten history." And thus began our hunt to dig more into the life of Khekho Dili Khekho, a man who earned his own surname. The journey has been an emotional trip of learning from the man who was unfettered by the blind beliefs of the crowd, unshaken by peer pressure, and unafraid of challenging the norms of the world he lived in. When we talk about Naga history, it is perceived as one encompassed by myths and legends, but we cannot overlook them whilst trying to understand where we came from. Contrary to the commonly placed ideal that folk narratives are mythical, the allegories contain truths one cannot deny. The most precious heirloom indigenous people can inherit from their parents is the oral narratives of their ancestors. Oral tradition is a deeply rooted culture diligently passed on from one generation to the next with great care. That way, focus is placed on the emotions and not the pompous way of stomping facts and figures. Rather than making the new generation memorize the stories of the bygone era, they are well preserved and transferred in its physical form by way of eye contact and body language, to assert the value in a person through the narratives. In fact, such anecdotes are better preserved because they keep the accounts in its original form as best as possible. With the onset of modern education, oral tradition is also a dying art, facing dire threats, and with it, our only medium in keeping our history alive. Efforts are needed to keep the narratives going. This book is an oral biography. This is the story of Dili in particular, but this is also the story of Tiger's intricate relationship with man, traveling back a century down the memory lane of our ancestors of Mao Naga tribe, anecdotes which survived the cruel passage of time, untouched, unaffected by the fast-developing world. This is an effort to bring the oral anecdotes into written form with the hope that it can survive for a few more generations, because they deserve to not only be heard, but be read too. I shall take a brief moment to just read an excerpt from the book. A lot of Naga tribes believe that the tiger is the older brother of man, and the tales of man's affinity with tiger have been retold for generations. At times, villages would be visited by tigers trying to feast on domestic animals. Whenever that happens, people would gather with their spears, but never with the intention of touching the tiger, except to claim ownership of the land and their cattle, and to scare it away. During those times, every able man would get into the front line and confront the tiger with war cries, pointing their spears towards the tiger and slowly pressing forward to gain ground and assert dominance until the tiger is left with no option but to leave. In the Mao Naga dialect, Khekho means tiger challenger. In a society unconsciously bonded by such culture, Dili was an explorer and a risk taker, earning him a title only the legends are bestowed with. There are two main interpretations regarding how he earned the title. It all began on one of those days when a tiger attacked the village again, hunting for cattle. On that fateful day, the victim became Dili's cattle. One version claimed that his family was rearing the cattle as a wedding gift to his beloved sister, who was preparing to tie the knot. Another set of people believe that the cattle was a wedding gift by his in-laws when he got married. No matter the versions, it is evident that the cattle hold a special place in the heart of Dili's family, more because it was a gift. Cattle is the most prized gift a person could get in a lifetime. Thus, out of shame and anger, Dili rushed towards the tiger, who was taking a leave after the feast. Dili gave no second thought as he stood behind the tiger and called out to the culprit. He bravely stood his ground, raised his spear, and shouted, "Okay," which means tiger. "The cattle is no match for you. If you want to fight, fight me." The tiger turned back, made a brief eye contact with the furious Dili, and quietly continued walking into the forest until it disappeared. Had the tiger attacked, Dili was ready to face the consequences, but it wasn't his day. It wasn't a small feat to stand up to bullies. Thereby, the fact that Dili challenged a tiger spread like wildfire. Today, the words uttered by him is spoken about in reverence and awe by the people of Fosemai and beyond. However, it wasn't the same during those days. For Dili, he wasn't revered for his courage, rather berated for losing control of his temper. He was detested for inviting calamity upon the village, and the entire village was alarmed for weeks. People feared repercussion over his action and immediately began to take precautions. It created a fear psychosis among the natives, not only while at the comfort of their village, but also in going to the paddy fields. They were certain that the tiger would attack them soon. You don't challenge your elder brother into a fight. Days turned to weeks and months, but the tiger never returned, finally offering a sigh of relief to the panic-stricken inhabitants. Once the villagers were convinced that the tiger had no intention of taking a revenge, the village gave the title Khekho to the unperturbed Dili. From then on, his name became Khekho Dili Khekho, and people began to call him Khekho. A name that remained bête noire during his era is now adorned with hero's cape. Dili broke the age-old stereotype surrounding the fear of tigers to a large extent, which earned him the title. Well, that did not stop tigers from invading the village in the future, but he also proved that a younger sibling could correct an older sibling for wrongs committed, that men don't need to live in constant fear of tigers, and most importantly, that a man could defend himself from the tiger should the need arise, respite the bone. And with that, I would like to invite Sir Inna to launch the book.
The bookman has to be here also. Honestly, completely pleased to launch this book of my dear friend, Dili. The pakka kung ba may kiwi ba? Only women can fight so hard. This is for me, right? So you have to sign it.
Okay, so with the slide, we're doing it.
Okay?
Now you can take it.
Thank you. Oh. First of all, we give thanks to God Almighty, God's grace. And so it is indeed a great day and a time to thank God. And for me, I'm privileged to be here to be with somebody like my friend. I always know him as D Cafe Man. But today I'm seeing a different part of it. So, and I did not know that your surname is Khekho. So Nokho N with T Dili Khekho, and forwarded by Professor Dr. Xavier Mao. It is indeed good to know my brother Dili's other part of his life. Miss Nokho, I know her very well. She's a great friend. And by the way, you look as cool and good as I met you 9 years ago. But she got lost somewhere. I think in search of Khekho the Tiger. The Tiger Challenger, found here. So it's really good to know both of them. And from coffee to here, I want to congratulate both of you for such a wonderful effort. And by the little that Nokho has read about, I believe that it's a way, folklore, the way of our ancestors, the way of our thought process, the way of our own family have been brought about in a very indigenous manner. And I pray that everyone should read it. I will also try to read it during my times when I'm a little bit free in the vehicles. And I would like to encourage many of us to also be good, enterprisers of such thought process. Many a times we see that the way of reading books has almost disappeared because of this mobile phone that we carry. And today, even for me, whatever little knowledge that I have is because of the books that I've read. I don't find it very comfortable to read the e-books in the mobile and all, but starting from current affairs of politics or policy or assertions to religion to culture or anything, I love to go through books in my own little sweet time, little bit, but I love to go through it, and then that's something which I think should still be to be inculcated among the newer generations. Because nowadays, from childhood to adulthood, people are mostly into mobiles and into all kind of mobile readings. But to possess a book is first of all a great gift, and to be able to, because I believe that when reading a book, you get into it, you get into the character, which usually mobiles are not able to give it, even if it may be the same story. Even though I would encourage both of you to have it on e-book also, but still then, having a book and keeping it, whenever you see it, you still remember the character, you still remember the story, and it can be part and parcel of our life in many ways. Lastly, especially in Nagaland and among our Naga people, we have so much of storytelling, which we think that because of the Naga tribes that doesn't have a script, we think that that's our problem, that's our deprivation. But I believe it's not our deprivation, it is our strength. It is our strength. For thousands of years, our ancestors, till today, have been telling story, the word that comes out of the mouth to the next generation and next generation and next generation. And I pray that our younger generation should not be cut out of it. Living in Dimapur, Kohima, Bengaluru, Delhi, elsewhere in states or in Europe and everywhere, we miss out on such things. Whenever we go back to our villages, if we sit with our seniors, very elder generations, they have a way of telling their story about the folklore. I can very well understand about the character where tiger is taken as a brother, as a part and parcel of our Naga story. And if we were to tell certain stories to the rest of the country or the world, they wouldn't believe it. They'll take it as a myth. But we know the facts. And I pray that younger generation should, not try to much get into intellectual research about it, but be practical about it. We know in our villages still now, in Nagaland itself, there are some people still alive whose spirits are tigers. Now, scientifically, it is impossible. But practically, I can vouch that it is true. There are people whose spirits are tigers. And there are many more, especially in the eastern part of Nagaland, maybe some Chagasangs also, in Aos also. It is still existent. And we know how it is. So likewise, I think such kind of literature being written will actually enhance our heritage, our traditions, our folklore, to the newer generation in a way and manner which our youngsters can understand. And I have been, for the past 6 years and 9 months, I think I've launched 4 books. Till today, and this is the 4th one. You know, I have launched a fiction in RCMPA, some poetry in 2 places, and this is the 4th book. Naga youngsters are really good. We should not be afraid to bring our thoughts into writing. You know, the positive things about our people, about our culture, about our parents, about our family, about our community, and about ourselves. So, I thank you, Brother Dili and Nokho, for inviting me. It is a wonderful evening. I hope all of us will, you know, get to read this, and we should also promote it. And I pray that it will be a successful venture for all of you. One day, my big brother Sandeep and I, we should also write our story, you know, in our own way. I sometimes say that if I were not to be an elected member in the days to come, by whichever way, I have enough material to write about politics of our Naga people and the craziness we are there until for a lifetime. So thank you very much. God bless us all. May you all succeed in all this. Thank you.
We're here this afternoon as well. Besides that, our guest, who is a friend of our Sir Alom, thank you. And our friend, Pudunamay friend, our friend from the bank sector, my dear family members, and our media fraternity, and not forgetting my church member, as our associate pastor is here with us as well. So thank you so much everyone for making your time and being a part of our special program here.
It's bright enough. They know how to make everything bright.